Hey you folks, this is Chandran here, and today I'm going to be bringing you a faction build setup concept for Perfectionist Artisans. We're going to be taking a look at Gremlin Goldhammer and his Wolfkin Dwarves, and the idea behind this build is that we want to be playing Perfectionist Artisans. This is a funny trait, society trait that you unlock in the Pantheon thing, and it tickles my fancy when it comes to build around, because it seems like something that could provide a very different experience for a playthrough. It has some very out there benefits and drawbacks, and that's always fun to play around. So let's see what we can do to make the best build out of this, the best build setup at least out of this that we have available. First of all, let's read the trait. Perfectionist Artisans city structures cost 100% more production, but grant +1 city stability and +5 gold in addition to their normal effects. Racial unit tier 3 units have +1 rank. City cap is decreased by 2. Start with an extra tier 3 units. Okay, so the very most important things here are we are going to have fewer cities, and stuff is going to cost a lot more, but it's going to grant some very nice benefits. And also we have a tier 3 unit from the beginning. How do we work with this? So the first thing I did was look at what society traits do we have that we can choose that will give us the best benefit, and the one I found was Great Builders. The reason for this is, first of all, Capital City starts with Workshop and Stone Walls. This is 2 buildings. And since we have Perfectionist Artisans, that means an extra 10 gold income from the beginning, and 2 more city stability, which is less relevant. It also means that we already have a production building, and we want to find all of the production that we can possibly find in order to alleviate the drawback of this Perfectionist Artisans cost thing. Special province improvements cost -50% production from Great Builders. That is the next thing we're really here for. Because we are going to be spending a lot of time building anything in our city, and maybe cities if we are lucky, we will need to do something else once we have a lot of gold. Probably use it to grow faster. That is always what you want to use it for. Either you could build a lot of units, in this case you could go for special province improvements that you only pay half production for. So when you have too much economy, too much gold, you use it on your province improvements instead and get those out fast, and then you go back to building city structures as soon as you have gotten out what you can. This is a very great way to push in some extra economy. That your quarries yield an extra +2 gold is also nice to keep up your economy, because you're going to be having a lot of quarries because you want the production. Good. From here we look at what else could we get production from. And in order to get production early, we're going to go with Industrious culture trait. This is because scout prospecting. And also because Industrious gives us access to a special province improvement that gives +15 production and +5 extra production per quarry it is adjacent to. This is similar to another one we're going to get later, and it is very strong. But more relevantly, the scout prospecting. It yields either gold or production or hero items, and the extra production is going to be really good early on to get your city growing. It's going to alleviate some of the cost, at least, of having Perfectionist Artisan double your production cost. So build a lot of scouts, send them out there. This is great. Okay, now we're Industrious. Industrious gets bolstering, so we should probably play into this. We also get some other things. Since we are starting with a tier 3 unit, we should look at the tier 3 units that each culture gets, and from this one it is Bastion, which is a very nice defensive unit that is able to get mounted if we choose one of those traits. So we're going to do that, of course. We are going to choose Wolf Mounts. +5 hit points, that's fine, all of the mount traits give that. Enfeebling Howl is a nice 1-pip ability. You gain the Pack Hunter passive ability, so once you have a couple of your mounted units, like once you get into really building Bastions, or start with some of maybe the other new mounted units that you can get from some of the tomes, Wild Speaker or the Houndmaster or something like that, you will be able to get quite a lot of extra damage from here, plus 20% damage per friendly adjacent unit. So this is per friendly adjacent unit, so it stacks with extra adjacent units. Stack up your shield dudes, use the ones behind them to defend and buff the damage, and this is gonna be really awesome. There are some nice things that you can trigger with cavalry as well if you go for Tome of the Beast later on. That could be a thing. Also, your ruler starts with a white wolf mount, and who doesn't want your ruler to start with a white wolf mount? For the mind trait, since the bastions have one extra ability, they have an extra retaliation attack. We are going to choose Ferocious. It deals plus 40% damage via retaliation attacks and opportunity attacks. So if they want to attack us, which they have to do at some point, they are going to be slammed right back in the face for a lot of extra damage, twice. And maybe more later, depending on how you build this out once you get into the actual game. Fine, so we have our traits here. Let's look at our tome. We are going to start with a Tome of Rock. There are a few good reasons for this. First of all, it has access to the central quarry, which we will need later. Once we get our city to tier 2, we will need to build, or want at least, to build the special province improvement. There are other good reasons, one of them being the +2 Imperium pick, bringing us to 6 Imperium, meaning that from turn 4 already, we will be able to build the upgraded outpost from military engineering. This is essential for getting a strong early economy in a build with like Perfectionist Artisans. There's also the access to summonable units. As long as you get one of these, that is great. Whichever one you like the best is good. Being able to build units both with mana and gold means that you can balloon your army size a lot faster in the early game, and it also means you can diversify your upkeep so that it fits whatever you're doing. Later on, you'll probably mostly be using gold for upkeep, because you will be earning a lot of gold, basically. Then there's the Earthkin. +1 defense is really going to be awesome on our Bastion and our defensive units. Rock Camouflage is fun, and Rock Walk is a nice benefit. Stone Skin is a good defensive spell we get access to as well, and Rock Blast is just pure physical damage. All around, this is going to be a good book for us. For Ruler Origin, we are going to go with Champion because of the extra gold income. Our cities will be, cities will be producing a lot of extra gold, and yes please, +10% gold. The more gold we earn, the better +10% gold is. The extra city stability also helps us get up to higher city stability, which means that we will get the +5% production bonus, also food and draft, but production bonus here. Since we are going to have a very high production, this +5 or even +10 or I guess +15 from the highest one is going to be even more once again. Non-hero units gaining +20% experience is fine, but nothing to write home about, and the relations with 3 cities is also going to help us a bit in the over the course of the game. For appearance, we're dwarves. We're riding wolves. You could go with whatever. We're Perfectionist Artisans specifically, so I chose golden armor and a guy with a hammer. Since we want our rulers to have a mount from the beginning, we are starting with the one-handed hammer. And finally, we finalize King Gremlin Goldhammer of the Wolfkin Dwarves. Here we go. Thank you for joining me if you have been. I've been Chandran and you've been awesome. And if you have any ideas on how to take this build further into the game, or if you have any questions about how I would do that, you're very welcome to ask them or say so in the comments. For now, remember to do the YouTube stuff, and bye bye.